Welcome back. It's time for the fifth and final string of the Saturday shift of this Senior Pro Tour Candlepin Bowling event, coming to you from Mohegan Bowl in Webster, Massachusetts. Coming into the last string, Mike Morgan is leading, and we will show you, he's over on lane 6, but we'll show you the end of his last string a little later in the program. Right now, we're looking at Paul Mahoney on lane 4, Cindy Globish on lane 3, and Jim Putney on lane 2. In the fourth string, Mike Morgan threw a 149 game. So Mike has 531 going into the last game. That's a pretty commanding lead over the other guys on this particular shift, although there will be more bowlers competing tomorrow. Right now, Hawk Hallis has 474, and he's really the only one that's very close at all to Mike Morgan. And you can hear Mike in the background. He's always cheering on his fellow competitors, as a lot of the bowlers do. Paul Mahoney comes in kind of full on lane 4, leaves a big 5. 247 with the 610. Jim Putney drops 8, leaves a 3-7. Paul Mahoney chops the 2-pin off the 4 and 7. Meanwhile, Jim Putney picks off the 3-pin by itself. And Cindy Globish, after a 2-drop, came back with a nice ball, but she's still got the 2 and 6 left, and she'll post an 8 box. Paul Mahoney with a 5-drop, and he's got an interesting combination over there. The 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, with some wood in front of the 4, 5 that could potentially, well, let's see what he can do with it. Wow, that's a nice bid. And let's take another look at it. Pretty good hit by Paul Mahoney on the 2 planks in front of the 4, 5, 7, 8, and he takes out everything except the 8-pin. It refuses to go. Cindy Globish with a nice bid there. Almost took down the spare, but didn't quite, just left the 4-pin. So that's 9 boxes for Paul Mahoney, Cindy Globish, and Jim Putney, all in a row. And Jim Putney once again leaves a 4 horseman on the left side. He just did that. Does it again. Paul Mahoney leaves the same thing. Let's see if Cindy can make it 3 for 3. No, she hits the head pin and drops 8, leaving the 610 with a piece of wood. Jim Putney makes the 4 horseman. Now let's take another look at that. Here he just clips the head pin, and the ball does a nice job of taking out the 2, 4, 7. And Cindy Globish converts the 610 for a spare on lane 3. see what Paul Mahoney can do over there. Nice shot for a 10 by Paul Mahoney over on lane 4. Kicked the head pin over into the 4-7. So they will now give way to, well, let's see, Hawk Hallis on lane 2 and Jim Barber on lane 4. And Cindy doesn't have a lane partner, so there won't be anyone bowling on lane 3. Hawk starts off with an 8 drop, leaving the 7-10 with 3 pieces of wood that could potentially work for him. Let's see what he can do with it. Meanwhile, Jim Barber drops 7, leaving 1-3-9. And Hawk makes the spare on lane 2. Let's look at a replay on that. As you can see, he hits the wood, and that second wood kicked over into the 7 pin after the first wood pushed back into it. Nice shot by Hawk Hallis. And meanwhile, Jim Barber with a 9 box. And Hawk Hallis has 7 on the spare, leaving the 2-4-7. And he's got it, another spare. Push that flank right back into the 2-4-7, no problem. I think that's Jim Powers on lane 5. You can just barely catch a glimpse of him in the corner of the screen, bottom left corner. And Jim Barber makes a nice try to recover from that 1 drop, and he almost gets a late break for a spare. Meanwhile, Hawk Hallis fills the spare with 7 once again, but this time he has a much more difficult lead. The 4-7-10. Some wood in front of the 4-7 and a 10, but he isn't able to make it work for him. He just takes out the 7. And now he takes out the 10 for a 9 box. And Jim Barber with really got robbed there. Let's take another look at this. Once again, the ball is deflected around the 4-7 on a pretty nice 1-2 pocket hit, and just leaving him very little to shoot at. Just a 4-6-7-10 split with a piece of wood that might help him, but it's not an enviable spare leave to try to convert. And Jim just takes out the 6-10. Hawk Hallis with a 5-7-10 with an angled wood in front of the 5. He might be able to do something with that. Maybe kick the ball into the 7 and have the... But as it turned out, he went too high and just pushed the 5 straight back. And he just misses the 7 pin, so that's an 8 box over there on lane 2. Jim Barber drops 6, leaving the 4 horsemen left. He almost... Oh, and a strike by Hawk Hallis on lane 2. Let's take another look at that. This is kind of a wall shot. Medium pocket hit in the 1-3, and the head pin goes to the side wall and comes back strong to take out the 4-5. See what Jim Barber can do with this 4 horsemen left. Just goes by the head pin, leaving the 1 and 7. And it's going to be a 9. So let's review the scores after 5 frames here. Cindy Glowish 45 with a spare up, Paul Mahoney 45, John Brown 48, Bill Aldrich 59 with a spare up, Jim Putney 44 with a spare up, Jim Barber 46, Jim Powers 46, Mike Morgan 57 with a spare up, and Rich Hallis with 61 with a strike up. So now we'll continue with the second half of the string. And over on lane 2, Jim Putney drops 5. And Jim Putney ends up with a 9 box over there. Cindy Globish back on lane 3. Sends one out to the right for a 2 drop. This takes out the 6-10. Jim Putney drops 8 after a fashion, leaving the 1-9. Paul Mahoney punches out a spread eagle. And while Paul Mahoney takes out the left half of the spread eagle, Jim Putney missed the head pin, just taking out the 9. And Cindy Globish makes a 10. And Paul Mahoney just hooks that ball by the 3-6-10. Cindy Globish with a, looks like a 6 drop. I think the 9 pin is still up there, 1, 3, 7, 9. But she's got some wood that could help her if she hits the head pin. Unfortunately, she just goes by it and cleans out the wood and doesn't take anything down. So she's going to have a tougher shot on the 3rd ball than she had on the 2nd. That's going to be a 7 box. And Paul Mahoney on lane 4 dropped, let's see, he had an 8 box. Jim Putney's solid in the 1-3 pocket, but no good deed goes unpunished as he leaves a 5, 8, 10 with no wood. Meanwhile, Paul Mahoney comes up with a light hit on the head pin, dropping 8 and leaving the 2-8 with that nice piece of wood in front of the 2. So he has a good opportunity to make a spare here, and he does convert it. Cindy Globish drops 7, leaving 1, 2, 4. Jim Putney again stuffs the ball in the pocket and drops 7. This time he's got a little bit more to shoot at with a 6, 9, 10 triangle. Good spare leave anyway. Meanwhile, Paul Mahoney has the 4, 7, 8, 10 with some wood. Oh, and Jim Putney can't buy a break right now. He hits the object pin, but the 10 pin doesn't go for him. And Jim will settle for a 9. And Paul Mahoney makes a nice shot there for just only for a 10 box, but it's worth another look anyway. Watch as he hits the cap of this wood just perfectly. The ball takes the 10 and the wood goes over to take out the 7 and 8. It's a beautiful shot. And Cindy Klobuch with a nice ball, dropping 8, leaving a 4-7. With some wood out front that could be tricky because it looks like it's well out front. It might be up against the edge of the pin deck and the lane. Let's see what she can do with it. She pushed it straight back, but that was the problem. It just was way out front. She had to either steer it to the left or get the ball to carry to the left and get the 4-7, and she wasn't able to do it. Paul Mahoney with a spare, running down that 2-4-7 with a plank. Let's see what Jim Putney can do here. Or rather, Hawk Hallis. Jim Putney gave way to Hawk Hallis. Hawk is back up for his second half, and he starts off with an 8-box. Nice ball there by Paul Mahoney to fill in his spare in the 10th with a 6. And he'll finish up with a 102 game. Meanwhile, Cindy Klobuch had a 97. Hawk Hallis with an 8 drop, leaving a 3-10 spare. With a piece of wood at an angle behind the 3 that might help him make it. And he's got it. That's a nice shot right there. Let's take another look at it as he kicks the 3-pin off the wall into the 10-pin. Nice spare by Hawk Hallis. Jim Barber back up on lane 4, drops 8, leaves a 2-5. Couple of pieces of wood there. Shouldn't bother him too much, but it's a little hard to see from here. Well, you gotta hit him, and he went by the 2-pin, just taking out the 5. Meanwhile, Hawk Hallis punched out the half Webster on the spare and almost converted it. Jim Barber takes a 10, and Hawk Hallis takes a 9. Mike Morgan has come back up on lane 6 to finish his string. But we will, I've got the other camera over there, and we'll show you that after we're done with showing you what's going on here on lanes 2 through 5. Hawk Hallis drops 9, leaving a 10-pin, and Jim Barber has a 3-6-10 on lane 4. And neither bowler is able to convert the spare. Hallis will take a 10, and Jim Barber takes an 8-box on lane 4. Hallis with a nice solid ball in the 1-3 pocket, leaving the 5-8, and Jim Barber drops 9. 10-pin with a piece of wood in front of it. Hawk Hallis takes out the 5-8, makes the spare. And let's see what Jim Barber does here. He also makes the spare. And Hawk Hallis fills his spare with, I think that's 5. I think the 8-pin is still up there behind. And Jim Barber throws a nice ball, but gets absolutely no break whatsoever. So Rich Hallis finishes up with a 122, which gives him 598 on the day. When we're done, we will show you what the top 4 scores are, including the Sunday scores, which obviously, as of the time we're taping this, hasn't been recorded, but by the time you're seeing this, the Sunday shift has been completed. So let's just watch Jim Barber finish up his 5th string, and then we'll move over and show you what Mike Morgan did in his last half. Jim has a 3 drop, took out the 2, 4, and 8, and now he's got 7, leaving the 1, 9, and 10, and he's got an 8 box. So he finishes, Jim Barber finishes with a 106 game. And now we'll show you what Mike Morgan did in his last half. Starts off with a 6 drop, leaving the 3, 5, 6, 10. You can also see Jim Powers over there on lane 5. And Mike converts the spare. Not sure what happened to my audio from the segment, so you can't hear the pins going down, but Mike Morgan drops 5 on the spare. Looking at the 1, 2, 6, 9, 10, and he gives it a nice try, but a little bit too full on the head pin, and he gets everything except the 6 pin. And now he takes care of the 6 for a 10 box. And now he drops 8, leaving the 6, 10. And Mike Morgan makes the spare. Nicely done. In the 8th box, now he comes up in the 9th, and he punches out a half Worcester. Obviously he's not too happy with that, but always a good sport. And takes out 5 more, so he's left with the 1, 4, and 7. And he's got an 8 box. So now he's got 1 more box to go. Punches out the half Worcester again. That's not a replay. It's just the same shot. And this time it's kind of solid on the head pin and leaves the 4 and 6. The final scores: Mike Morgan has 648, Peter Flynn 617 on Sunday, Gary Santora, who was also bowling on Sunday, 602, Mark Gregory on Sunday had 600, and Hawk Hallis 598. So that'll do it for Mohegan Bowl.